All right, so we're talking about, we're going to be introduced to the quadratic formula in this lesson. We're doing 524. All right, so in previous lessons, we've developed methods for solving quadratic equations. Today, we're going to use a formula that will work no matter what happens. And it's beautiful because it always, always, always works. And that's just not true about the other methods we have. Factoring does not always work. Completing the square can get exceedingly complicated, and I will demonstrate today how that happens. So as we go, we're going to write down these three. So there's three different lakes. We've got method 1, method 2, which we already have, and then method 3. So as we work today, we're going to be filling this in. Okay. So method 1 is factor and use the zero product property. So over here, I'll write factor ZPP, zero product property. Okay. And so let's go ahead and try it. We've got this equation, x squared minus 3x minus 7. Let's go ahead and try to factor it. We've got our box and our x, and so x squared and minus 3x, oops, and minus 7 I meant, and negative 3x goes here. So 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. Numbers that multiply to make negative 7 and add to make 3. Numbers that multiply to make negative 7 would be 1 and 7, 1 and negative 7, and negative 1 and positive 7, which are no way to get 3. So this is not factorable. Well, that was exciting. And I'm out of luck. I can't solve it. Oh, wait, I have other methods. Let's try another method. Method 2, complete the square. So we spent a couple of lessons on completing the square. We completed the square on our last video, and then also in class today, today in class Friday, the 15th, we also completed the square some more. So hopefully we're getting comfortable with it and starting to understand what's happening, but it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, let's go. I used to dislike it very strongly. So anyway, here I am. I'm going to try to complete the square. And so what I need to do is figure out my squiggle will be. My squiggle twice. I need to split this in half. And we had that weird thing right at the end of the lesson where she's trying to split in half. She split a half a cube. Try to do it visually. Since this is odd, that makes it a little harder. Half of 3 is 1.5. So then I have to have 1.5 squared here. And I'm going to use 3/2 instead because I can square that faster. It's equal to 9/4. And this has got to be plus 9/4. And this is minus 9/4. Okay, so this becomes x minus either 1.5 or 3/2. I'm going to use 3/2. Quantity squared. Minus, and so fourths, we've got negative 7, which is times 1 times 4/4 is negative 28/4. So I have negative 28/4 minus 9/4, which is equal to negative 37/4. Awesome. That's so easy. No problem, right? Equals 0. So then I'm going to continue it, and I'm going to run out of space. So I will continue on this part. And so I have x minus 3/2 squared equals 37/4 by adding that to the other side. Then I'm going to take the square root. X minus 3/2 equals plus or minus radical 37/4, and I take the square root of a fraction by taking the square root of the numerator over the square root of the denominator. Get plus or minus radical 37/2. Okay. Fun, huh? Oh, I'm not done yet. Oh, right, I have to add. So I've got x minus 3/2 equals plus or minus radical 37/2. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3/2. X equals 3/2 plus or minus radical 37/2. Luckily, oh, I'm out of space. Can't see what I'm moving anymore. And luckily my denominators are the same, so that's nice at least. X equals 3 plus the square root of 37 over 2 and 3 minus the square root of 37 over 2. So X is approximately equal to, calculator, do your magic. So this calculator is awesome in a lot of ways. One of my favorite things it can do is fractions. So if I click on alpha, y equals, I pop up this fraction menu. And so there I am. I'm going to type in 3 plus the square root, second, and x squared. You can't see where my buttons were going because my base was in the way. 37 over 2. That's 4.541. Okay, then we're going to do it again. I'm going to pull the exact same thing down and change that minus sign, that plus sign to a minus sign. Okay. And negative 1.541 as well. Notice the x, that's the same. That'd be related to the square root of 37 somehow. Okay. All right. So notice that it took a long time. I could not have squiggled that into the space I provided myself with. It wasn't going to happen. And it was painful. But I do have 2 answers, which is better than the factoring one where I ended up with no answer. So I'll take it. I mean, I found an answer. Go ahead and record that answer up here. X equals 3 plus or minus 7 over 2. Which means X is approximately equal to 4.541 and negative 1.541. So, all right. So now it tells us to head over to Desmos and see how we did. All right, so we're going to go to Desmos and see how we did. And so, once it comes up, y equal, oh, let's just go x squared. Whoops. Squared minus 3x minus 7. There's my answers. So negative 1.54 and 4.51. Those are the 2 numbers I got. Cool. Was easy. Yay, math's true. Cool, moving on. Does it confirm my answer? Yes, it does. Okay, so here's our new method. It's called the quadratic formula. I'm going to go ahead and write that down here. All right. So, one way to solve a quadratic equation is by using this thing called the quadratic formula, which is shown right here. This formula uses values a, b, and c from a quadratic equation written in standard form. When the quadratic is written in standard form, that is, it looks like ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Then a is the coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant term. All right. What are a, b, and c? Oh my gosh. Excuse me. A equals 1, b equals negative 3, and c equals negative 7. Oh, that's all I wanted to know. The quadratic formula calculates 2 possible answers with that plus or minus symbol. So it's important that we keep that in mind, that it is calculating 2 answers for me because of the plus or minus. Therefore, every quadratic formula is really 2 different problems unless this stuff that's after the plus or minus is 0. So we have 2 separate answers. So this becomes that. Carefully, and let's see what we can do. And it should say and solve. I will make sure it says that on your paper. Okay. I haven't put it yet. Okay, so carefully substitute into the formula. Okay, so A, we already found it, ABC. And so we have x equals negative b. That's the opposite of b. So that's plus 3 plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And a is 1. Okay. And next time I see you in class, I will give you a goofy story that will help you remember this. It works like a charm every time. So this becomes 3 plus or minus the square root of, now we're being really careful, 3 squared is 9, minus 4 times 1 times 7, which is negative 28. Wait, 7 was negative, plus 28, all over 2, which is equal to 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 28 is 37 over 2. Hey, that looks really familiar. So notice what I did. This is important. I put everything in. Then I did the inside, under this radical happened first. So the exponent happened, and then this got multiplied at the same time. That 7 does not look negative. Like a funny written 7 instead. There we go. And so I had negative 4 times 1 times negative 7, 28, 3 squared. And then at the same time, I times them on the bottom. Then I added 9 and 28 together to get 37, and there's my answer. And I would use my calculator to figure out what my two answers are. And I don't separate till I'm here. So x is exactly equal to 3 plus radical 37 over 2, and 3 minus radical 37 over 2. And if I'm not mistaken, here's my completing the square. There was my answer. So I just want to compare the work. So this is the work completing the square all the way through. Then decimals. So it took thinking, figuring out what that was. So this is kind of a multi-step thing, but there's your calculation, 1 step. Rewriting, step 2. And then there was that whole mess of trying to figure out what that fraction was. Then, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. To get to the same answer, it took us 1, 2, 3 steps. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Gotta love the quadratic formula. All right, we will do some practice problems in the next video. I will see you guys soon.